to be honest with you, I can't get through him and Nephilim Free. All of them can't get past more than a minute of them because they just repeat themselves and they're so fucking boring. I can't listen to them.
Nephilim, I don't think is quite as stupid as Truthful Christian though.
I agree. Nephilim is 50 insane, 50 stupid. Truthful is 90 stupid, 10 insane. People like Shock of God are, or Venom Fang X is 95% insane, 5% stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right, do we want to knock out some more of these questions?
Well, here, let me take on number 5. That's our next one. Mm-hmm. This has 3 blatant errors that I can see right off the bat. One, I thought it was 5 to 10 million years. Sorry, let me read it. Number 5, the Cambrian explosion.
It was like 15. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Cambrian explosion itself disproves the notion that life evolved slowly in the span of 20 million years. We witnessed the development of most complex life forms, where prior all life as simple single-celled life. Well, like you say, I thought it was 5 to 10, 15. It was still less than 20, I thought. Second one.
20 million times, by the way, just real quick, if I may interject.
Sure.
Young Earth creationists think the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 20 million years.
Exactly.
And they say that's nothing. They say that's the blink of an eye. Well, they're off by a factor of about, 5,000. That's not a simple oopsie. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a forgot to carry the one. But anyways, go ahead. So, I mean, that's like, in the span of 20 minutes, we witnessed the most complex. Anyways, go ahead.
Right, well, it's like development of most complex life forms. Now, I thought it set the stage and developed most life form types, not most complex life forms. There's no fuzzy bunnies. There's no mammals in the Cambrian time period, as far as I understand it. And then the last one, where all prior life was not simple single-celled life, there was multi-celled life forms before the Cambrian explosion, and I thought it was the advent of a lot of oxygen finally getting into the air that allowed for the change.
There are a number of things. First of all, it's false for a number of reasons. First, being that multicellular, when he said, and I quote, where prior all life as simple single-celled life was before. And in reality, from 590 to, Cambrian explosion was 540 million years ago. Right. But from 590 million years ago, there's diverse fossil forms, with multicellular life, 590. So that's 50 million years before that. So that's not up for debate. That's factually incorrect. And there are even transitional fossils within the Cambrian explosion fossils. Yeah. Phlebopods, for example, which are worms with legs, and they're an intermediate between arthropods and worms. Those have been found within the Cambrian explosion in and of itself, but there are no transitional fossils, so I forget.
But at the same time, I mean, it is true that it's largely acknowledged that during that period of time, the diversity of life really did expand quite
and there are a couple of reasons for that. One being the evolution of Hox genes, which Hox, which stand for homeobox or homeotic genes, control the body's segments, and it's basically it's sort of like a computer-ish, very binary way of dividing the body into segments and developing each from there. Those were revolving around that time.
Right.
Search on Hox genes will blow your mind. And also, we were coming out of an ice age.
Yes.
But what's interesting is tell me, what do the creationists? What's their explanation for this? What do they believe? What do they think happened during the Cambrian explosion? In your opinion,
it really, from the arguments I've had to deal with, that what they're being taught, either from the pulpit or from other non-scientists speaking out, is that the Cambrian explosion happened much quicker than 20 million, 10 million, or 5 million years. It happened very, very fast, and that all of the basic life forms, what they consider all of the kinds, bird, fish, mammal, lizard, all of these things were created during that time period.
Yeah, that's my
and that's utterly false. First of all,
yes.
There were no mammals created during the Cambrian, no reptiles, no birds, no insects, no spiders, and even more flowering plants. No plants at all appeared in the Cambrian. No plants in the Cambrian.
Right.
I mean, I mean, none of these things appeared during that. I mean, in fact, the only thing were fish which didn't have jaws that wouldn't look anything like a fish to you or I. I mean,
Right.
so their position that this is when life was created, and all of a sudden we've got it's factually it's painting a completely different picture from reality. And in fact, there were animals before the Cambrian. There were cnidarians, which are like
Right.
jellyfishes and corals and things like that. There were sponges, porifera, plenty of other phyla. There were at least 6 phyla are Precambrian. I mean,
the Precambrian area is when is when it started to begin, and then something changed. I remember, like you said, it came out of an ice age. Remember, oxygen became abundant, and so they were able to make changes at a faster rate because of something the oxygen does.
well, it allows you to increase body size.
Okay, right there, which is enough in and of itself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's in the Ordovician period before the Cambrian. I mean, that was one of the most extensive diversifications of life.
Well,
And people don't look at that because they're not I want a puppy. I mean, that shit didn't occur then, but
yeah, they see the headline is all they see. They see Cambrian explosion. They see Big Bang when actually it should be fast expansion, not bang.
Mm-hmm.
And Cambrian explosion should be Cambrian fast diversity. Not pretty, but because we as human beings like to type things, we like to give like say analogy explanations for things. We like to sum things up into a headline, so we do that. Well, then the uneducated only read the headline. Darwin was wrong. Thanks, New Scientist. And now we got these people banging out the drum again, going, "He was wrong. Even the New Scientist says so."
Yeah.
Read the article.
It's been the bottom line is that look. For creationists out there that would be listening to this, take a look at where you're getting your information from. This statement contains flat out, blatant stuff that's not correct. You're being misled. There weren't animals, or there weren't rather mammals, no reptiles, birds, insects, spiders, anything like that afterwards. There was life beforehand. There was multicellular life beforehand, and it's not the only explosion to take place. I mean, they're basically bastardizing science, and this is something that's not up for debate. This isn't up for discussion.
It's factual.
Look at the facts. You've been misled, and what does that tell you about the source you're getting your information from? This isn't a matter of opinion. I mean, if you want to argue evolution or something like that, but look at this point. I mean, but then again, take a look at number 2. Mutations are always negative. That should immediately, for anybody with even a high school education, that should really turn them off. But at any rate, so I mean, I think that sort of sums up the whole Cambrian explosion part.
My pet peeves, that statement right there, and I hear it over and over and over again.
Well, this list has actually inspired me to make 2 videos. One on the Cambrian explosion, the second one being on the evolution of feathers, which is number.
Fascinating. Did you read that one article? Who was it? It was a video article out not too long ago that went through it. It was very fascinating.
Well, they've done a lot of research on that in California and the past decade.
But that's where the gays are. You can't trust it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to number 6. I don't know.
No single mutation could possibly give any species any discernible advantage, which is why the CCR5 mutation granting human beings immunity to AIDS does not exist.
That just goes back to number 3.
Yeah.
Well, and this was in the article. This was a situation where Klinghoffer decided to insert his own statistics, where he said, "Let's imagine that there was a mutation that did give a discernible advantage, and gave that species a 0.01% greater chance of survival than it would have otherwise had." I think we can all agree that if that was the limit to what a single mutation could provide in terms of benefit, that it probably wouldn't be of any value.
I disagree. Actually, after a million years, 0.01%. After 1 million generations, that 0.01% would look pretty big. Hell, look at the Black Plague and the 12% compared with 3%.
Oh yeah. Well, just look at your compounded daily interest rate of 0.1%.
But is that even an accurate? I mean, my suspicion is he pulled that percentage out of that.
He probably did. That's where he got most of his arguments. The smell is pretty clear, but I mean, still, it's I don't know. I mean, yeah, whatever. But I mean, at any rate, I think that's kind of been debunked by the CCR5. I mean, and that's just one of many.
Yeah.
Number 7, punctuated equilibrium has been demonstrated to be impossible.
By who?
Where? Citation needed.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Punctuated equilibrium, by the way, and it's people view evolution as one of two things. It's either punctuated equilibrium, which is the idea that you've got long periods of stasis, meaning no change, and then all of a sudden an environment is something in the environment changes. Because after all, it's the environment that does the selecting. The environment is what determines the frequency of genes. Because after all, those who don't have the genes to survive will decrease in number.
There's also breeding selection, as in with the giraffes.
Yeah, giraffes, peacocks, sexual selection, all things like that. But
giraffes have long. Yeah,
because people either view it as long periods of no change with big climactic, and we get big things like the Cambrian explosion, or they view it as steady, graduated, like stair step sort of mentality. And in reality, it's a period of both. Things are changing gradually over time, but when the environment comes into play and radically changes, you get things like the Cambrian explosion. So it's a matter of both. So punctuated equilibrium has been demonstrated to be impossible.
That's just flat out wrong.
Show me a single study.
Yeah, if I remember correctly from the argument, he went on to say that even Gould admitted that it was wrong and he was full of crap.
No, and Gould, before he died, even flat out, called them out on that, basically saying this is exactly why you can't trust these people. Look at how dishonest they're being. This isn't what I meant. This isn't what I said. Their dishonesty knows no limits.
Yeah, they take that out of context and try and use it and they don't even understand what he was talking about.
Exactly, and it's really, really, really unfortunate, but I guess it is what it is. But, at any rate, punctuated equilibrium, self-promotion, I have a video on it. Check it out.
Alrighty, just really quickly, because this one doesn't require a whole lot of discussion. DNA and RNA could never randomly come into existence. Life could never have formed without a designer. This really doesn't even deserve our attention because this has nothing to do with evolution whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't. It has to do with abiogenesis. If you're really curious about abiogenesis, RNA can spontaneously come into existence. Not only that, there's something called montmorillonite clay, which catalyzes a formation of RNA. RNA is the same thing as DNA, only with an extra oxygen molecule. That is all that it is. It's sugar. It's a nitrogenous, after all, ribose. It's a sugar. It's a nitrogenous base and a phosphate backbone. It can spontaneously assemble in the form of montmorillonite clay, which is one of the most common things on Earth, in primordial Earth. But even without its presence, it can. And the amazing thing about RNA is it has its own cataclysmic or enzymatic activity, rather, in the sense of RNA can form RNA. In other words, it's sort of like mad cow disease with prions, in the sense of prions are basically like rogue proteins in the brain that whenever they touch another protein, they turn that one into a prion, which touches another one, and it basically turns your brain into Swiss cheese. So RNA can, in and of itself, create more RNA, and it can form spontaneously. It's been documented numerous times. Check out any of the videos on abiogenesis on YouTube.
And again,
completely
unrelated to evolution. But they love, you can't find a creationist argument that doesn't bring this up.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
It's an argument from ignorance.
Yeah.
You're saying, I don't know how it could have happened, therefore it couldn't have happened. But it's even worse than that. What they're saying is, I'm too lazy to look up how it couldn't have happened, therefore it couldn't have.
Or even worse than that, my arguments regarding evolution are so bad that I'm actually just going to pull in another argument from a completely different theory that has nothing to do with evolution into it, just to confuse you.
Or you point them to the source and they say, oh, well, that's just scientists using big words to try and confuse us. That's their language of deception.
Yeah. The intelligentsia should be removed. First thing we do is kill all the lawyers.
The second law of thermodynamics means that all life is impossible.
Oh God, I hate that.
It's basically that's entropy. Disorder can increase. The second law of thermodynamics basically states that things always move towards, the total order of entropy in the universe